Hi, this is Writer Keeping It Real, and we're reading through the Bible using the Good News Bible. We're in the New Testament, in the book of Matthew, chapter 14. So, what I've started to do with these chapters is before I read the Good News Bible, I do have the Bible Project, the poster book, and it's helped me, so hopefully it'll help everybody else to kind of figure out where we're going and what we're reading. So this is what it's showing for Matthew, starting on chapter 14 through 20. So these go together, 14 through 20. And this is we're going to learn about the different expectations about the Messiah. And then I guess these are the people that have the different expectations. The Jewish, the non-Jewish. They're asking, they're saying he's the Messiah. Then you've got, and we're just saying Jesus for now. We've learned that Jesus is just the English version of all the different versions of his name, which they've tried to confuse us with, but we know it wasn't Jesus back then, right? Who do you say that I am? So that's what Jesus is asking, right? The Pharisees is saying he's not the Messiah. Peter and the disciples, Peter kind of turned into the leader, is saying you're the Messiah. Okay. The upside down kingdom, which we saw that somewhere. Where do we see the upside down kingdom? Oh, back over here on chapters 4 through 7. That he brought this kingdom and it's an upside down kingdom. What is up is really down and what is down is really up. Meaning that the Pharisees are up, the poor people and people who needed to be healed were down, but now Jesus was flipping that around. So his is the upside down kingdom. That's chapters 18 and 19 through 20. So honor by serving, revenge versus forgive, gain true wealth by giving it away. Okay. Suffering servant, Isaiah chapter 53 verses, the victorious defeat of the pagans, Psalms 2, Daniel 2. Okay, this is interesting because so far that means nothing to me, right? That means like a hodgepodge of nothing. So we're going to have to read this to figure out what it means, right? So here we go. At least we're going to read 14 through, I don't know what we're going to read. We're just going to start. We'll see where we go. Here we go. The death of John the Baptist, chapter 14. I'm going to try not to go that long. I went an hour when I read Matthew 11 through 13. But it takes 2 hours to upload an hour video. So, yeah, we won't go that long. We'll stop at the 30-minute mark. Maybe that'll be 2 chapters. So, the death of John the Baptist. At that time, Herod, the ruler of Galilee, heard about Jesus. So, I got to stop there. Already got to stop. So, from the Haley's Bible Handbook, we did learn about the Herods. They were Edomites. The Herods were Edomites. Herods. This is very informative. Something to know. How, evil they were. Bear with me. Herods. Herod. There we go. So the Herods were an Edomite line of kings who were under Rome. Herod the Great, he controlled Judah before Christ. His son Herod Antipas was some 3 years later, killed John the Baptist. So this is who was killing John the Baptist. Still one of the Herods. right? And then his grandson Herod Agrippa killed James the Apostle. His great-grandson Herod Agrippa II, who tried Paul. So now we're here. Herod Antipas. He's the one who's going to kill John the Baptist and behead him. So when you read this, is some research you have to do. At the time, Herod, the ruler of Galilee, heard about Jesus. He is really John the Baptist who has come back to life, he told his officials. That is why he has the power to perform miracles. For Herod had earlier ordered John's arrest, and he had tied up and put him in prison. He had done this because of Herodias, his brother, Philip's wife. For some time, John the Baptist had told Herod, "It isn't right for you to be married to Herodias." Herod wanted to kill him, but he was afraid of the Jewish people because they considered John to be a prophet. On Herod's birthday, the daughter of Herodias danced in front of the whole group. Herod was so pleased that he promised her, "I swear that I will give you anything you ask for." At her mother's suggestion, she asked him, "Give me here and now the head of John the Baptist on a plate." The king was sad, but because of the promise he had made in front of all of his guests, he gave orders that her wish be granted. So he had John beheaded in prison. The head was brought in on a plate and given to the girl, who took it to her mother. John's disciples came, carried away his body, and buried it. Then they went and told Jesus. Think about how deep that is. Think about that. Really think about it. It's crazy to think about. And that's just what? A little paragraph in the book, but that really happened. Jesus feeds 5,000 men. I don't know if it was just men, but okay. When Jesus heard the news about John, he left there in a boat and went to a lonely place by himself. The people heard about it, and so they left their towns and followed him by land. Jesus got out of the boat, and when he saw the large crowds, his heart was filled with pity for them, and he healed their sick. That evening, his disciples came to him and said, "It is already very late, and this is a lonely place. Send the people away and let them go to their villages and buy food for themselves." "They don't have to leave," answered Jesus. "You yourselves give them something to eat." "All we have are 5 loaves and 2 fishes," they replied. "Then bring them here to me," Jesus said. He ordered the people to sit down on the grass. Then he took the 5 loaves and the 2 fish, looked up to heaven, and gave thanks to God, to the Most High. He broke the loaves and gave them to the disciples, and the disciples gave them to the people. Everyone ate and had enough. Then the disciples took up 12 baskets full of what was left. The number of men who ate was about 5,000, not counting the women and the children. Okay, so we knew there were women and children, but they counted 5,000 men. And if you watch the movie, and I think it actually is on Prime, of The Chosen, Matthew is counting the people, because Matthew was a tax collector. He was about the numbers, right? Jesus walks on the water. That reminds me of my brother when he was in the military, in the army. He would come home. He was 10 years older than me. He would come. He was a paratrooper too. So he jumped out of planes. And he would come home, and he wouldn't tell us he was coming home. And he would open up the front door with his key, and he would just scream through the house, "I'm walking on water. I'm walking on water." And everybody would come running out. "Oh my God, Paul Wesley's home." It was the best. It was the best. I mean, he probably did that, I don't know, like 5 or 6 times. And it was the best surprise ever. Then Jesus made the disciples get into the boat and go on ahead to the other side of the lake while he sent the people away. After sending the people away, he went up to a hill by himself to pray. When evening came, Jesus was there alone. And by this time the boat was far out in the lake, tossed about by the waves, because the wind was blowing against it. Between 3 and 6 o'clock in the morning, Jesus came to the disciples walking on the water. When they saw him walking on the water, they were terrified. It's a ghost, they said, and screamed with fear. Jesus spoke to them at once. Courage, he said. It is I. Don't be afraid. Then Peter spoke up. Lord, if it is really you, order me to come out on the water to you. Come, answered Jesus. So Peter got out of the boat and started walking on the water to Jesus. But when he noticed the strong wind, he was afraid and started to sink down in the water. Save me, Lord, he cried. At once Jesus reached out and grabbed hold of him and said, What little faith you have. Why did you doubt? They both got into the boat and the wind died down. Then the disciples in the boat worshiped Jesus. Truly, you are the Son of God, they exclaimed. Jesus heals the sick in Gennesaret. What is that? Gennesaret. They crossed the lake and came to the land of Gennesaret. I gotta look that up. Where the people recognized Jesus. So they sent for the sick people in all the surrounding county and brought them to Jesus. Wouldn't you? They begged him to let... Oh, there it is. Created by the Bible Project, you see. I didn't see that before. To let the sick at least touch the edge of his cloak, and all who touched it were made well. What if we had that level of faith? What if... Okay, I'm back to feeling like I gotta breathe, and that's a good place to be, where you feel like you just gotta stop for a second and breathe. 12 minutes, one chapter. The teaching of the ancestors. Wow. We're at least going to get through this chapter. Then some Pharisees. People who think they know everything. People who are living by the law and tittle but don't have any spirit or soul. Then some Pharisees and teachers of the law came from Jerusalem to Jesus and asked him, Why is it that your disciples disobey the teachings handed down by our ancestors? They don't wash their hands in the proper way before they eat. Jesus answered, Why do you disobey God's commands and follow your own teaching? For God said, Respect your father and your mother, and whoever curses his father or his mother is to be put to death. But you teach, if a person has something he could use to help his father or mother. But you teach that if a person has something he could use to help his father or mother, but says this belongs to God, he does not need to honor his father. In this way, you disregard God's command in order to follow your own teaching. You hypocrites! How right Isaiah was when he prophesies about you. These people say, God, honor me with their words, but their heart really is far away from me. It is no use for them to worship me because they teach man-made rules as though they were my laws. Back to church, right? The things that make a person unclean. Then Jesus called the crowd to him and said to them, Listen and understand. It is not what goes into the person's mouth that makes them ritually unclean, rather what comes out of their mouth that makes him unclean. Ooh. Oh. I don't think he's saying, he's saying it's not just that. You got to be aware of both. So stop just stopping at what you put in your mouth. Think about what comes out your mouth too, right? Because you could read that to say you can eat anything you want, right? Everything in the Old Testament And that's probably what people use. Everything in the Old Testament, the shellfish, the pork, you can eat that. I think that's probably what people use to say that, but I don't see him saying that really. I see him saying it's not just what you put in your mouth, it's also what comes out of your mouth. Right? I'll see that. I see it that way, but I could be wrong. But I can see how people would say you can eat anything you want because of that right there. Then the disciples came to him and said, "Do you know that the Pharisees had their feelings hurt by what you said?" And Jesus is like, "I don't care. Every plant which my Father in heaven did not plant will be pulled up." We already told you this. I told you the weeds would be put together and burned, answered Jesus. Don't worry about them. They are blind leaders leading the blind. They are blind leaders of the blind. And when one blind man leads another, both fall into a ditch. And that's why when I listen to YouTube videos and people are talking about these blind people leading the blind, that's how I feel. Don't worry about them. What are you talking about them for? Who cares? What are we supposed to do as the Most High's people? What do we do to get to those 7 levels of joy? Isn't that more important than just focusing on the people that are blind? Right? So I can't even listen to it anymore. I just got to keep moving on. Right? Peter spoke up. "Explain this saying to us." Jesus said to them, "You are still no more intelligent than the others. Don't you understand? Anything that goes into a person's mouth goes into his stomach and then on out of his body. But the things that come out of the mouth come from the heart. And these are the things that make a person ritually unclean." Interesting. "For from the heart come the evil ideas which lead him to kill, commit adultery, and do other immoral things, to rob, to lie, to slander others. These are the things that make a person unclean. But to eat without washing your hands, as they say you should, this doesn't make a person unclean." He is just saying elevate your thoughts to not just the outward, but the inner. A woman's faith. Jesus left that place and went off to a territory near the city of Tyre and Sidon. A Canaanite woman who lived in that region came to him. "Son of David," she cried out, "have mercy on me, sir. My daughter has a demon and is in a terrible condition." But Jesus did not say a word to her. His disciples came to him and begged him, "Send her away. She's following us and making all this noise." Then Jesus replied, "I have been sent only to the lost sheep of the people of Israel." Of the people of Israel. That's where he is sent to. Interesting. Don't miss that. Don't miss it. Don't, church people, don't miss this. Right? Mm-hmm. Who was he sent to? To the lost sheep of the people of Israel. At this, the woman came and fell at his feet. "Help me, sir," she said. Jesus answered, "Is it right to take the children's food and throw it to the dogs?" "That's true, sir," she answered. "But even the dogs eat the leftovers that fall from their master's table." So Jesus answered her, "You are a woman of great faith. What you want will be done for you." And in that very moment, her daughter was healed. Jesus heals many people. Jesus left there and went along by Lake Galilee. He climbed a hill and sat down. Large crowds came to him, bringing with them the lame, the blind, the crippled, the dumb, and many other sick people whom they placed at Jesus' feet. And he healed them. The people were amazed as they saw the dumb speaking, the crippled made whole, the lame walking, the blind seeing, and they praised the God of Israel. Jesus feeds 4,000 men. So feeding people again. Jesus called his disciples to him and said, "I feel sorry for the people because they have been with me for 3 days and now have nothing to eat. I don't want to send them away without feeding them, for they might faint on their way home." The disciples asked, "Where will we find enough food in this desert for the crowd?" I mean, is this the loaves and the fishes again? Didn't we just read that? Hold on. "How much bread do you have?" Jesus asked. 7 loaves They answered, and a small fish. So Jesus ordered the crowd to sit down on the ground. Then he took the 7 loaves and the fish and gave thanks to God, broke it, and gave them to the disciples, and the disciples gave them to the people. They all ate and had enough. Then all the disciples took up 7 baskets full of pieces left over. The number of men who ate were 4,000, not counting the women and the children. Wait a minute. Hold on. Then Jesus sent the people away, got on a boat, and went to the territory of Magadan. Did we just read that? What is that? Hold on. So he feasts the 5,000 men. I don't know if this is the same story just again. 4,000. He feeds 4,000 and he feeds 5,000. Is that 2 different feedings? It must be. Mark 8, 1 through 10. Yeah, it's 2 different times he does that. This is Mark 6, 30 through 44. This is Mark 8, 1 through 10. Right there. Interesting. So that was Matthew 14 and 15. Let me see how that relates back to this. Different expectations. The Jewish, yeah, well, I kind of talked about this a little bit. The Pharisees didn't believe him, and they're talking about washing their hands, and he's saying, hey, it's more than that. What comes out of your mouth? Interesting. Okay. So when we come back, we'll be reading 16, maybe 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. That's a lot. So yeah, this resonates with me right here. They are blind leading the blind. They are the blind leading the blind. Like let them do their thing. Like I said, like when I used to, I don't know. I don't know. Everybody does what they want to do online. I'm doing what I want to do online. But I just I can't focus in on what people are doing wrong. I can't focus in on that. Gentiles or who says what or who doesn't believe who the people are. I don't care what people believe. I'm just trying to learn everything that I can learn while I have time. Pretty much. Like, you can believe what you want to believe. Trust and believe. I believe that because there was a time where it's like, oh, you got to believe what I believe. No, you don't. You do not have to believe what I believe. I can only just tell you what I think. Because what I believe has changed over the 60 years I've been alive. Many times. Many times as I've been searching. Like what is it? I gotta unlearn this. Like I started out with this New Testament. Like, ugh, I gotta unlearn what people doctrinated me with. Right? Now that you see it different, now that you're not blind. But we just did that. We just read 2 chapters of Matthew in less than 30 minutes. So again, I'm going to say, pick up your Bibles and read it for yourself. And until next time, it's right at keeping it real.